Alright, so this is going to be a quick and dirty little tutorial on the Xperia Play. I just saw Scott the Waz's video, and even though he doesn't really do any jailbreaking, rooting, anything like that with his consoles, at least not on YouTube, I figured I'd show a little how-to because it kind of makes it look like the phone is dead, but you can do a lot with it still. So just for instance, here is the Xperia Play. Now, this is already set up. I've already done everything, but we are going to reset it and just do it again. But as you can see, you can still get the games on here, and most of them work very, very well. There's a few, here and there who might have a memory leak or, you can't make it past a certain level, but that's fairly rare. And just so you can see, and I know this webcam is terrible for filming this, but I will do my best for you. So we can open that up. You can see all my oily finger marks all over the screen. And these still work. Or at least they're made to work. The DRMs are moved, everything's accessible. So also too, obviously this is a decent emulation device. So we have PS Pocket. And there's a few PS1 games on there. And you can actually make your own PS1 games on here, install emulators, things like that. But I'm just going to show you how to, get it up and going for now so that you can install what you want. All right, so let's go ahead and shut this down because we are going to start from scratch. The only thing I will not be covering is unlocking the bootloader, but I will give you a link so that you can do that. That's out of this whole thing, that's the easiest part. So we are going to be using a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, but you do not have to use an SD card that big. It's overkill. I'm just doing it so I can throw everything on there at once. All right, let's go ahead and rip this out. We will pull the SD card out of the back of here. Then I am going to go ahead and just format this since we are starting from scratch. So let's put it into the computer. There we go. We'll be using my laptop for this since everything's already installed there. And for now we can get rid of the webcam since we're not really using it. And again, I'm going to go back and edit this video. This is kind of just my way of doing things. I like to film it this way and then go back and edit it. All right, so here is the SD card. And I'm just going to format it in exFAT first. For some reason, it seems to work better that way. And we'll use GUI format. And there it is, the 512. We'll start. And of course, okay. So let's close that. Let's try one more time. We'll run as administrator, even though I kind of already did. Nothing. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because this happens for some reason, I do not know why, we're going to format it again. So let's format. Format's complete. We'll start this now. All data will be lost, and now it's working for some reason. Who knows why, but it works, and that's all that matters. Okay, so now we have a completely blank SD card. I am going to remove that from the computer. Somewhere here. There we go. And let's go ahead and take that out. We'll stick it back in here because we will need it in here. Oh, right. I should turn this on. Not that you can see much, but I'm sure it helps. So we're going to stick it back in there. We will put this cover back on because it does have a sensor. It knows when the cover is off. You can turn that off in the settings, but since we'll be flashing it back to stock, we're going to put this back on. All right. That seems pretty snug. And now what we're going to do, we're going to go over to the computer and we're going to launch Flash Tool. Now, Flash Tool does need driver signatures to be turned off to be installed. Again, that's on the wiki. You can follow that. It's fairly easy. It's just a booting into Windows a special way, turning off driver sign check, whatever it is, and then getting it installed, and you'll have this. So what we're going to do, we're going to flash the stock firmware back onto here. And the reason I'm doing that is just, if yours already has the stock firmware, just stick with that. That works just fine. Let's see. We're going to go to Xperia Play. And I already have the stock firmware downloaded, but of course, you can download the one for yours. This is going to be the Verizon model, the R800X, and the suggested stock firmware is the 301E088. Now, there is one above that, but this is the suggested one. If you're going to go with stock, it has better performance. So we're going to hit flash. Now, I don't have the phone plugged in yet, so I am going to show you. What we are going to do, it's in flash mode right now. You can see that on the screen. We're going to hold down the back button and we're going to plug in the data cable. We do not need to turn it on. So once we do that, we should get a green light up at the top here, which we did. Whoop, there it goes. So green light, it's flashing on the screen. You can see that. We're going to give it some time to flash. You won't see anything on the screen. It'll just, be dark like this. So we'll give it some time to flash. And like I said, if you're already on stock firmware, you don't have to do this. You can just leave it stock. I would suggest going to the lower firmware. If you are on the higher one, you might as well. It's just better. It's not too hard to flash it. Why not? We'll speed this up a little bit just to kind of get past this part because it does take a little bit. All right. We are set now. We are going to unplug this and we're going to turn on the Xperia Play. It'll take a little bit to boot up. It is an older phone. Especially if you put a larger SD card in here like I did, it takes a good 2 to 3 minutes after it's actually booted for it to go through and check the SD card for errors and all that. So I would suggest using a smaller SD card just to save yourself some headache. Don't do what I did. While we're waiting though, let me go ahead and make this smaller. What we're going to be using mainly are the files from the Discord, and it's going to be in the games download section. And if you scroll down, there is the Xperia Play root pack, which we actually won't be downloading from here. We're going to download it a different way, which I will show you. And the Total Commander, that's another one we will download right onto the phone. And again, I'll show you how. And then this is the one I would definitely suggest you download. This has the programs in it we need to make the games work. And then it also has a huge collection of working games already working, ready to go. You just drag them over, super easy. All right, so we're in the phone setup here. So let's go ahead and just go through this real quick. We don't need any of the activation because this phone will not activate. Next. We don't need any location services. Okay, so here's our phone. We are back to stock firmware. This is how it would come. You got some pre-installed games in there. None of them will work because the servers are down, so it doesn't really matter anyway. First thing we're going to do, open up the internet browser. You can hit OK. Oh, no. First thing we're going to do is connect it to Wi-Fi because you can't use internet without Wi-Fi. And we can't direct connect the phone, unfortunately. So we'll go to my wireless networks, turn Wi-Fi on, and I'll accidentally turn it off again. Have to wait, turn it on again. All right, I'm going to go into Wi-Fi settings, and then I'm going to connect to my network here. And I'm just going to put in the password real quick here. And I think I got that. Okay. And now we are connecting to my network. There we go. And I'll go ahead and make this part a little bit bigger. You can see it, not in the corner. That's a little nicer. Okay, so now we are going to go into the internet browser. And we're going to type this in exactly. So it's going to be HTTP :// and then we're going to do files.xplay.wiki. All right. And that should load up for us, which it did. Great. And there's 3 files here. And one is the file manager. Download that. The other one is and just to let you know, the file manager is Total Commander. So this next one is a plugin for Total Commander. We're going to download that as well. And then we're also going to download this Xperia Play root pack. Those are downloading, so we'll let those download. The root pack's going to take the longest. We'll go ahead and install Total Commander while we're waiting. And that's a good time to remind us that we do need to go into the settings. And then under Applications, we're going to choose Unknown Sources. And we'll hit OK. And that will allow us to install these apps from the internet. Okay, so let's go back. We'll pull down that notification again. And I've already clicked the notification for Total Commander, so it is gone, but there's another way you can install it. So if you go into these apps and then scroll down to what I believe is Downloads, they are all listed there as well. Let's go ahead and install Total Commander. All right, that is done. We'll go ahead and hit done. And then next we're going to install the plugin. Go ahead and hit install. And that is done. And now we are going to back up and we are going to go into Total Commander. Let's open that up. Go ahead and accept the license here. And then we'll go to downloaded files and we'll open that Xperia Play root pack. And Total Commander will open zip files, so this is why we're downloading it. And the first thing we are going to do is install Baidu Root. And you can choose Unpack Open With. We'll go ahead and hit install. And then once that is done, we'll back out of here. We'll go into Baidu Root. There we go. We're going to hit agree. And then right here on the home page, it will say a key to get root privileges. Just go ahead and tap that. There we go. And you can hit show off the results. You don't really have to. It's just like a sharing thing. It's silly. Okay, so now that that is done, we have rooted the phone. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back into Total Commander. And then from here, we are going to install ES File Explorer. It's just called ES Explorer. And again, we'll unpack and open with and install. And we'll just give that some time to install. Okay, that is done. We'll go ahead and hit click. We'll go ahead and click done. And then from here, we're also going to install Link to SD. And again, unpack, open with. We'll go ahead and install that. It would help if I plug this in so the phone doesn't die while we're working on it. Okay. And we don't need USB storage right now. Okay, so I have got, so far, Link to SD and ES Explorer both installed. And then what we are going to do from here is we are going to open ES Explorer. And we'll hit OK. And then in here, there should be an option for Root Explorer. We want to go ahead and click that on. And we'll hit Allow. And there we go. Now ES Explorer has root privileges, which is what we want. From here, we are going to now install another item from the root pack. We'll open Total Commander again, and we're going to install SuperSU, unpack and open with. And that is installing now. Perfect. All right, and we will hit allow, done, open this up, and then we are going to go ahead and launch SuperSU, but we're not going to launch it from the normal menu. We're actually going to open up Link to SD, and that should load up all of our apps on the phone, which you can see a bunch of junk apps in here. We're actually going to be able to uninstall those later. Give us a little more room to install other things. We're going to scroll all the way down to SuperSU. It should be here. Okay. And then we'll hold down on it, and we're just going to hit launch. And we will choose new user. And then it does say how to update, which sometimes this does pop up. If it does, it's fine. X out of it. And we'll, to be honest with you, I'm going to try opening this from the menu. Binary needs to be updated. Now, this is what we want to see. If you do see the first time that it says what we just saw before, close out of it, open it back up. Even if you open it from the menu, it should be fine. That's how I did it. So it's going to say if you have a custom recovery like TWRP or CWM, that can be used to try to install the SU binary. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to hit normal. And that's going to go ahead and install. We're going to hit allow. All right, installation success. So now that we have SuperSU installed, we are going to do a little maintenance. We're going to launch Link to SD again. And we're going to scroll up to Baidu Root. Should be up here. There we go. We're going to hold down on that, and we're just going to uninstall it because we no longer need it. Perfect. Okay, and then from here, we are actually going to transfer some files over to the phone. So what I'm going to do, I've already got it plugged in because it was dying anyway, so I'm going to pull down this notifications panel, and you'll see here USB connected. We'll go ahead and click on that and just turn on USB storage. Now, you can also do this by taking out the SD card and plugging it into the computer, but the files are so small that we're going to move over that it doesn't really matter. But if you're worried about speed, you know, and if you've got a lot of files to move over, it's definitely better to take the SD card out and do it that way. Okay, so the files we're going to need are, again, going to be from the Discord. So they're going to be in games download, and it is a torrent file. It contains all the games and the files we need. I've already got it downloaded, and since it takes forever to open, I'm going to let you know there are a few folders in there. Here's the file right here. There's a folder called Final. Right when you open it, you'll see that. That's the that's the folder we want. And it's going to contain these files. We're going to go into the PS folder there, and the files we're going to want are no PSS DRM, PS Pocket, and PSM. So let's go ahead and open a new window here. And there is our phone there. So all I'm going to do is make a new folder called APK. And then we are going to move these files over to that folder. And now that that is done, we will go back over to the phone. Let me make this a little larger here. Okay. So we'll turn off USB storage right there. And then what we are going to do next, we have to install these in a specific order, and I would suggest installing them using ES File Explorer. Oh, I'm just clicking on things here. Sorry about that. We don't need USB storage. We need ES Explorer. Okay, there we go. And once this loads up, which it should eventually here, there it goes. We are going to go into the SD card. We'll go into that APK folder. And the first thing we're going to want to install is the PSM 1.7.0 APK. So go ahead and click that and hit install. We'll hit install here. And then when you get this, you do want to grant permission. So this is super user saying it needs to grant permission. This is because it's going to install some files with root access. So I didn't hit it fast enough, so I went ahead and hit grant there. So now it'll go ahead and install. And it is done. So we'll go ahead and hit done. And then from here, we're going to install the no PSS DRM. Go ahead and hit install. Install. And that is done. And then next, what we are going to do is install PS Pocket. Go ahead and install that. And that's done. Now we can back out of here, and we are going to open no PSS DRM. So you'll find it in your apps here. Hopefully you will. No PSS DRM. There we go. And then we're going to grant again. Now, if you get this, you might get a couple different things here. Mine is saying, which it's hard to tell, but it says install PS Certify. So if you see that, go ahead and click that, and we'll hit yes. Failed to remount system. Okay, this means we need a reboot. So go ahead and turn the phone off. We'll hit OK, and I'm just going to let that shut down. There are newer versions of no PSS DRM, which I'll, again, provide links to the, it's not a GitHub, but I'll provide links to where the new releases are. This release works just fine. The only catch with this one is you cannot use Wi-Fi. So when you're launching the games and stuff, you want Wi-Fi off. Which that works fine for me because, what are you going to use Wi-Fi for on this phone anyway? So let's go ahead and pull up the apps here. We will launch no PSS DRM again. And now this time it says install no PSS DRM. So we'll go ahead and hit that. And it says patch successfully. So perfect. We're good there. Oh, and I am so sorry. We are not good there. Once it says patch successfully, it will say update no PSS DRM. Go ahead and hit that as well. All right, perfect. So now that that is done, before we install any games, I am going to go to link to SD, and I am going to uninstall the games that are already installed since they will not work. And let's go ahead and we'll enable USB debugging because it's asking us to. And then let's try this one more time. Hit uninstall. And then it'll take a little bit to uninstall all of these. You can remove, obviously, this backup assistant and stuff. You can remove all of that. It's all junk. It's not something we're going to need. I'm not going to do all of that right now. We're just going to remove these games so they don't get in the way of the ones we're installing. That is done. Let's find our next one here. Crash Bandicoot. Uninstall. Okay. Perfect. And where's our next one? Madden. There we go. Uninstall. Okay. These uninstall fairly quickly since there's, no actual game data there since it's can't be downloaded. I'm going to pull off Office Suite real quick because that does take up a little bit. Okay. And as you can see, there's a ton of garbageware on here that needs to be uninstalled, especially since the internal memory, I think it's only like 400 megabytes. And I believe this is the last one, Sims 3, but let's double check. Yes, okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull the SD card out of this and push a bunch of these apps over just so I can kind of show you what it actually looks like. So let's power this off. And I'm just going to open this bad boy up. We'll wait till it's powered off till we take out the SD card. Let me grab my SD card adapter here. Let's stick this into the computer. And let's make this smaller so you can actually see it. Alright. Let's open this up. New window if I can find it. Okay. And we'll go to APKs and let's install a fun one. Let's do, you know, a lot of people really wish they could do The Sims 3 on there, so let's do that one. So from here, again, we just want to extract it to the root. So the fact that there's a games folder here instead of a Android folder, that's perfectly okay. That just means that games folder is going to go on the root, which is what we want. And then let's pick another one about the Dark Knight Rises. That's a good one. All right, we'll put that over there. And then while that's going on there, we'll go back into PS. PS1, US. Oh, we just do Crash Bandicoot. That's a good one. That's one of the ones that would normally come pre-installed, so the fact that you can install it and have it working is good. Alright, so that's done transferring over. We'll do that PS1 game. That transfers fairly quick, so we'll do one more. How about Medieval? And we'll throw that in there too. Okay, beautiful. Now we are going to eject our SD card and we'll put it back in the phone. Go ahead and eject that. I'll go ahead and make this window a little bigger here for you. And we're going to take this SD card out of the reader, put it into our phone, and again, replace the back cover because there is a sensor there unless you turned it off in the settings. And we'll go ahead and power it up. I am going to unlock the phone, but I'm going to give it a minute because I don't know if you saw there, but at the top it says preparing SD card. Because I have such a huge SD card in there, at least huge compared to what this phone would normally be used to, it takes a little bit. All right, so now that that is done, let's go ahead and open up ES Explorer again. And you can see it says SD card unmounted. The SD card's so big, we still gotta wait a little longer. Still says battery cover removed. That means I probably didn't get it pushed on there all the way. There we go. All right, so it's preparing SD card. You can see that little in the corner up there, the little SD card icon. It looks like it is done. So let's go ahead and try ES Explorer again. There we go. We'll wait for that to load up. And we're already on the root of our SD card, so we'll go into APK and we'll start installing these. And then hopefully, if I remember, before we launch these, I am going to turn off the Wi-Fi. There's the Dark Knight. Go ahead and install. Now some of the newer releases, and I think I already went over this, but some of the newer releases of PSSDRM, they do not require Wi-Fi to be off. I just stuck with this version because I don't really need Wi-Fi, and you know I don't ever really need it on. And this version works. I know it does. So you know what do I need a new one for? Okay, let's go ahead and hit done, and then we'll install The Sims 3 too, just to round it all off. All right, done. Now I'm going to back out of this. We will go into settings so I can get that Wi-Fi turned off. Settings, wireless networks, and we'll just turn that off. Okay, now from here, those apps are already installed. So I'm going to pull PS Pocket and just put it here because I'm tired of looking for it. So first thing we're going to do, let's try the Xperia one. So if I open this up, it should load up the Xperia app. And there's our games. Now the Xperia app is actually showing the PS1 games too, which mine did not do that the first time. So that's actually kind of nice. Let's go ahead and start up a actual Xperia game, one of the ones that would have came with, just so we can show it's actually working. And these Xperia games already have the DRM taken care of on them. And if you've tried to launch an app with the Xperia Play, you know that you don't even get this far. But we could just start the game. We'll do new game. Maybe it needs me to click it. There you go. But we got our create a sim. There he is. We can go through, change them out. So obviously that's working great. Just for fun, let's open the app again like that. Let's try The Dark Knight Rises. You can see that loading up. There's Gameloft. WB Games. And there it is, loading up. Normally when you try to load these on, like, let's say a stock firmware, you'll just get the message, no data downloaded, because the games are on there, at least, the pictures of the games, but there's no actual data downloaded, and the servers are long gone, so we're not going to be able to download those. That says press any key. We'll just hit new game. And you can see there it is. Mission 1, the adventure begins. Might take a little longer to load from my giant SD card. That's my fault. Of course, if you use a smaller one, you'll be fine. Yeah, as you can see, I would definitely suggest using a smaller SD card. They can get a little tiring waiting for all the loading times. So there it is. Kind of see it there. You can move around with the little whatever these are called. But it works. Really nice. I've never actually played this, so I don't know the controls or anything. Okay, well, either way. And oh, was that it? Was I starting to move? Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can see the controls do work. Everything's working there. And then since the other games are showing in the Xperia app, we don't really need to launch PS Pocket for those, so we'll just go ahead and launch them from here. So we'll do... I'm actually going to add this part in after the fact. When you launch a game, it will ask complete the action using, choose no PS1 DRM, and use that as the default action. It will ask you twice, so you want to make sure you choose those same options twice. But then, from now on, whenever you launch a game, it will do that automatically. Just make sure you have your Wi-Fi turned off. Games out of the set that you downloaded, dragging them over like I did to the root of the SD card, install the APKs. Once you're done installing the APKs, you can actually delete them from that APK folder once they're installed. The only thing is you don't want to delete anything from the Android folder or any of the other folders that you dragged over to the root of the SD card. Those need to stay there. That's the data for the games. And obviously this is loading. I don't think we really need to go any further into it, but just in case, I will let it load up so you can see. We'll start the game there. But yeah, this device is not dead, especially with these people in the Discord. I mean, they Lee, the creator of No PSS DRM. I mean, without him, there's no way we'd have this. It's crazy. It's not a big scene, and the fact that these tools exist are amazing. The last thing I would say here before because that's pretty much it. I mean, once you get the games installed, you can install emulators as well. They have APKs in the pack, and you can install SNES emulators, GBA emulators. The main thing is to make sure that you are uninstalling these junk system apps that you don't need, because once you install the games, they will fill up the internal storage pretty quick. So get any of these installed. You want to keep system apps like Android System, any ones without like an obvious icon. Like obviously that's the Verizon logo. We don't need any Verizon stuff, so we can uninstall that. But once you do have these games installed, eventually you will run out of space during the install. When that happens, go into your settings, go into applications, and we'll go to manage applications. And then some of these apps you installed, you can click on them and you can move them over to the SD card. Now that won't move all of it to the SD card, but it'll move enough so that you can keep installing games. There's also an ADB code, which I will need to find here. I'm not sure if I saved it. Yes, this is it. Okay, so what we're going to do, and I'll show you how to do this real quick. Let's go ahead and put the phone into USB debugging, which actually it should already be there. I think we did that earlier. Yes, so we can see USB debugging. Well, I guess you can't really see, but USB debugging says it's enabled there, and we have it connected to the computer. So we're good there. We're going to open an ADB shell. And all of this ADB stuff, the flash tool stuff, that's, well, the ADB stuff at least is part of unlocking the bootloader. So you'll have this done already as long as you follow that tutorial. The flash tool, that's going to be, again, a part of that tutorial, but a little different. You'll see it in the wiki though there. All right, so what we're going to do is to type in ADB shell. All right, there we go. Start successfully. And then we're going to copy this code here, which is pm set install location 2. And we'll go ahead and paste that in. All right, and we're done. And all that does is it gives you a little more leeway with moving apps to the SD card. So some apps that it wouldn't let you move before, it will now let you move. And there's ways to do it with Link to SD or App to SD, but I just find this way is so much easier, and it's quick. And I mean, that's really it from here. You can install games, change your wallpaper, get rid of all the, the other system apps and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's not, it's not dead yet. And that's the thing. It's still a good device.